Good morning. My name is Gustavo Chavez, and I am a 21-year-old senior at the McComb School of Business at the University of Texas at Austin here. As the oldest of 3 children, I stand here today representing my father and my siblings as one of the rightful heirs to my late grandmother, Georgina Ayub's estate. My grandmother, Georgina, was a Mexican-American dual citizen whose rights, like mine, were infringed upon by the audacity of probate corruption in El Paso, Texas, under Judge Gamboa in Probate Court Number 2. My father, Alfonso E. Chavez Ayub, is the eldest son and rightful heir to my grandmother's legacy, and as you might be aware, he is a plaintiff in a formal judicial complaint filed with your office in March of 2023. I speak to you today on behalf of my father, Alfonso, who at 52 years old, out of a sense of moral duty, is enrolled in law school at Creighton University to fight injustice. He made this personal sacrifice not as a means of advancing his career, but to fight for the fundamental principles of ethics and integrity that each of you swore an oath to uphold. The complaint, filed under case number 230473, is a case of first impression involving severe judicial misconduct and a case of first impression in the United States versus Mexico. The facts in this case, as undisputed both countries, Judge Eduardo M. Gamboa, entrusted with the role of upholding the law, instead obstructed justice by dismissing a legitimate letter rogatory issued by a court in Mexico and tampering with the official Mexican court records. His court's actions enabled a coordinated fraud perpetrated by officers of the Texas court and parties involved in an enterprise to illegally probate a multi-million-dollar estate, a conspiracy of corruption that is currently under litigation. The systematic failure here is staggering, amounting to a much larger cross-border fraud issue that my father, acting as a whistleblower, has disclosed to federal authorities, including the FBI, fulfilling his ethical obligations under both state and federal law as required by U.S. and Mexican law, rules of professional conduct of all legal professionals, including law students as well. What is even more alarming here is that the Commission's failure to act, despite the overwhelming evidence of judicial record tampering, is an offense that strikes at the very heart of judicial integrity. The investigation led by Elizabeth Trevino failed to hold Judge Gamboa accountable. It is a breach of duty not only to my family, but to the Texas public. Article 5, Section 1A6A of the Texas Constitution mandates, as other people have mentioned, that judicial officers be held accountable for conduct that undermines the public confidence in the judiciary. How could Ms. Trevino, in her capacity as an officer of this commission, not see what the 8th Court of Appeals saw just 6 months later? The 8th Court of Appeals issued 2 orders to correct the very record that Judge Gamboa's court had knowingly and recklessly falsified. The Texas Supreme Court has long held that judicial misconduct is intolerable when it violates the foundational principles of due process and equal protection. The Texas Supreme Court has held that the officers of the judiciary have an unshakable duty to uphold the rule of law, and any breach of this duty must be met with decisive action. The preponderance of the evidence speaks for itself: tampered records, blatant disregard for the rule of law, and failure to report financial crimes that should have been referred to the proper authorities. This is not just a matter of failing to uphold judicial standards, this is an affront to justice itself. My father's complaint was not a mere grievance, it was a plea to preserve the integrity of our legal system, and yet it was ignored by those tasked with overseeing judicial ethics. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.